Misoma walked slowly through the village market, her basket swinging gently at her side. The morning sun shone brightly over the colorful stalls, lighting up rows of fresh yams, ripe tomatoes, palm oil, and bundles of fragrant spices. The air was full of chatter, laughter, and the calls of traders advertising their goods. She loved coming to the market because it was a place full of life and stories, a place where everyone knew each other. As she carefully examined a pile of yams, she felt a gentle bump against her shoulder. She turned quickly, startled, and saw a young man standing there. He was tall, with broad shoulders, and had a warm smile that made his eyes shine. He looked polite and calm, and for a moment Misoma was caught off guard. She had never seen him in the village before. "I'm sorry," he said softly, holding out his hand as if to steady her basket. "I didn't mean to bump into you." Misoma felt her cheeks flush slightly. "No harm done," she replied, adjusting the basket carefully. She studied him for a moment. There was something gentle about his presence, something that made her heart feel a little lighter. "I'm Obi," the young man said, his voice calm and kind. "I'm just passing through the village." "Misoma," she said, offering a small smile. She noticed that his eyes seemed to observe everything carefully, yet there was warmth in his gaze. It was strange how a stranger could seem both unknown and familiar at the same time. They both paused, not quite knowing what to say next. Around them, the market continued its busy rhythm. Women calling out prices, children running between the stalls, men carrying baskets of yams and peppers. But for a few moments, Misoma and Obi seemed to exist in a quiet bubble, aware only of each other. "I hope I didn't ruin your shopping," Obi said, glancing at her basket. "I can help you carry it if you like." Misoma shook her head, smiling politely. "No, it's fine. I can manage. Thank you." She felt a small flutter of excitement. There was something about his kindness that made her curious. Obi nodded, still smiling. "Well, I hope I haven't disturbed you too much. It's nice to meet someone friendly in the market." Misoma laughed softly, a light, happy sound that Obi seemed to notice. "I suppose it's a good day for meetings then," she said. She realized that she was talking more freely than she usually did with strangers. There was something about him that felt safe and interesting at the same time. They chatted for a few more minutes, sharing small pleasantries about the weather and the market's bustle. Misoma noticed how politely he listened, how he didn't interrupt or rush her. He asked simple questions, not too personal, but enough to make her feel that he genuinely wanted to know about her and her village. "I'll be around the village for a few days," Obi said finally. "Maybe I'll see you again." Misoma nodded, feeling a little shy but pleased. "Maybe," she replied. There was a hint of curiosity in her tone, a spark of interest she hadn't expected. Obi smiled again and moved on, blending into the crowd of villagers. Misoma watched him walk away, feeling a strange mix of curiosity and excitement. She couldn't explain why, but she had a feeling she would see him again. Something about his presence stayed with her, a gentle tug at her thoughts. For the rest of the morning, Misoma went about her shopping, but her mind kept returning to the stranger. She remembered his smile, the calmness in his eyes, and the polite way he had spoken. It was unusual for her to feel such a connection with someone she had just met, but she couldn't deny it. By the time she finished at the market, Misoma's basket was full, and her thoughts were still with Obi. She wondered who he really was and why he had come to the village. There was a mystery about him, a sense that he had a story to tell, and she was eager to learn more. Walking home along the dusty path, she found herself glancing at every passerby, almost hoping to see him again. She wondered if he might appear somewhere near the river, or by the palm trees where children played, or at the little tea shop where villagers gathered in the afternoon. Though it was only a brief meeting, Misoma felt a spark of curiosity that she couldn't shake. The stranger had left a gentle impression on her heart. She smiled to herself, thinking about the possibility of meeting him again, feeling a sense of anticipation she hadn't felt in a long time. When she reached her small home, she set down the basket and paused at the door, thinking about Obi. It was strange how a single encounter could make her day feel brighter, lighter, and full of questions. Who was he? Why had he come to the village? Would she see him again? Misoma realized that sometimes, life had a way of introducing people at the perfect moment. A small meeting at the market could spark curiosity, adventure, and maybe even something more. She felt a small excitement in her heart, wondering what the future might hold. That evening, as the sun dipped low and the village prepared for the quiet of night, Misoma found herself thinking again about Obi. She smiled at the memory of his kind eyes, his warm smile, and the gentle way he had spoken. She didn't know what was to come, but she felt certain that the handsome stranger had brought something new into her life, a sense of curiosity, excitement, and the possibility of adventure. For MMESOMA, the day had started like any other, but it ended with a spark. A spark of curiosity about a stranger named Obi, a spark of questions about who he was and why he had appeared in her village. And though she didn't know it yet, this meeting would mark the beginning of an unexpected story, one filled with friendship, discovery, and perhaps even love. The next morning, MMESOMA woke early, the market already coming alive with the sounds of merchants shouting prices and children laughing. As she walked through the village path, she noticed a familiar figure by the water well. It was Obi. He was carrying a basket of yams, helping an elderly woman balance her load. When he saw MMESOMA, he smiled warmly and waved. "Good morning, MMESOMA," he called. His voice was cheerful, gentle, and carried a friendliness that made her smile. "Good morning, Obi," she replied. She felt her heart lift slightly at the sight of him. Their eyes met, and for a moment, it was as though the noise of the market faded away. Obi approached her. "I hope I'm not bothering you," he said. "I just like helping around when I can." MMESOMA shook her head. "Not at all. It's nice to see someone kind around here." She noticed how his presence seemed to calm the bustling market, as if his calm energy drew people in. That day they walked through the market together, helping where they could. Obi carried a small bundle of vegetables for an old neighbor, and MMESOMA laughed when a child ran by, splashing water from a small puddle onto her feet. Obi laughed too, a light, joyful sound that made MMESOMA feel warm inside. They found a quiet corner under a large mango tree, where they could rest and talk without the noise of the village pressing in. MMESOMA noticed how easy it was to talk to him, how he listened carefully without interrupting. She found herself sharing stories she hadn't told anyone before, about her childhood, her dreams, and the little adventures she enjoyed around the village. Obi listened intently, nodding and smiling at all the right moments. "That's interesting," he said. "You've had such a lively life here. I like how much you care for everyone and everything in the village." MMESOMA blushed slightly. "I try," she said modestly. "It's just how I grew up, helping where I can." Their conversations grew longer and more personal over the following days. MMESOMA learned that Obi had traveled through many villages but that this one had felt different somehow. "There's something peaceful here," he said one afternoon. "And kind people like you, MMESOMA." MMESOMA smiled, feeling a warmth spread in her chest. There was something special about him, something more than just his polite words or good looks. He had a quiet confidence and kindness that made her trust him, even though she had only known him a short time. As they spent more time together, MMESOMA began to notice the small details that made Obi stand out. The way he helped carry baskets without complaint, how he spoke gently to children, and how he treated the elders with respect. She realized he was more than a stranger passing through, he was someone with a good heart and steady character. Obi, too, began to notice MMESOMA's qualities. He admired her intelligence, her quick wit, and the way she seemed to care deeply about everyone in her village. He appreciated her laughter, which was light and joyful, and the way she carried herself with a quiet confidence. He felt drawn to her not just by her beauty but by her spirit and kindness. The villagers began to notice the pair as well. People whispered and smiled when they saw MMESOMA and Obi together, walking through the market or sitting under the mango tree. Some thought they were friends, while others began to wonder if something more might grow between them. MMESOMA didn't mind the whispers. She was too caught up in the simple joy of spending time with Obi. One afternoon, as they rested under the tree, Obi reached into his bag and pulled out a small snack. "I thought we could share this," he said, offering her a piece of sweet bread. MMESOMA accepted it with a smile, enjoying the gesture. They laughed when a little boy nearby tried to grab a piece for himself, and Obi playfully scolded the child, causing everyone to giggle. Days passed and the pair continued to meet often. Sometimes it was at the market, other times by the river or under the mango tree. Each meeting strengthened their bond. They shared stories about their families, the village festivals, and small secrets of the past. MMESOMA realized that Obi had a way of making ordinary moments feel special. One morning, as they walked along the path lined with palm trees, Obi turned to MMESOMA and said, "I enjoy our time together. You make this village feel even more alive." MMESOMA laughed softly. "And you make it feel different? In a good way?" She paused, wondering if he felt the same spark she felt whenever they met. Obi smiled, and for a moment, no words were needed between them. The connection was clear, they enjoyed each other's company, and their friendship was growing naturally. Even the elders noticed the change. They commented to each other about how the young people laughed and helped each other. Some said it reminded them of the importance of friendship and kindness in the village. Misoma and Obi seemed to lift the mood wherever they went, spreading warmth with their cheerful presence. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky with orange and pink streaks, Misoma and Obi sat by the riverbank. The water shimmered, reflecting the fading light. Obi picked up a small stone and skipped it across the surface. "I've never met anyone like you, Misoma," he said softly. Misoma smiled, her heart feeling light. "And I haven't met anyone like you either," she replied. She realized that the curiosity she felt the first day had grown into something deeper, a bond of friendship that could become much more over time. As the stars began to appear in the evening sky, they sat quietly, enjoying the peaceful moment together. No words were necessary, the comfort of each other's presence was enough. Misoma thought about how surprising life could be, how a simple meeting in the market could grow into laughter, trust, and companionship. By the time Misoma returned home that night, she felt a warm happiness she hadn't expected. Obi had become more than a stranger. He was a friend she could laugh with, trust, and share her thoughts with. She thought about the days to come, wondering what new stories they would create together, and she felt a quiet excitement for the adventures that awaited them. For Obi, the feelings were similar. He had met someone kind, intelligent, and joyful, a young woman who had a light that brightened his day. He knew that their friendship was growing into something special, and he looked forward to every encounter with curiosity and happiness. The village too seemed to feel the change. People saw the pair together and smiled, sensing a bond forming. Misoma and Obi laughed, helped each other, and shared stories, creating moments that made both of them, and those around them, feel lighter and happier. As the moon rose over the quiet village, Misoma thought about how quickly life could change. One meeting, a simple conversation, could turn into friendship, trust, and perhaps even something more. She knew that meeting Obi was only the beginning, and she looked forward to discovering the story that would unfold between them. The following morning, Misoma walked through the village, thinking about the friendly and kind stranger she had been seeing for days. As she approached the riverbank, she saw Obi waiting by the old mango tree. He waved and she hurried to meet him. There was a seriousness in his eyes that morning, something different from the playful laughter they had shared in recent days. "Good morning, Misoma," Obi said with a gentle smile. "I need to tell you something important today." Misoma tilted her head, curious. "What is it?" she asked. Her heart beat a little faster, sensing that this conversation might change things. Obi looked around carefully, ensuring no one was listening. "I didn't tell you before, but there's a reason I came to the village," he said. "I'm not just passing through. I am searching for something, an old family heirloom that was lost many years ago." Misoma's eyes widened. "A family heirloom? What kind of heirloom?" "It's a small carved wooden box that belonged to my grandfather," Obi explained. "It has been missing for decades. Family stories say it was hidden somewhere near this village, but no one knows exactly where." He paused, studying her face for a reaction. Misoma felt a spark of excitement. She had never been part of a real adventure before. "Can I help?" she asked eagerly. "I know the village well. Maybe I can help you find it." Obi's face brightened with gratitude. "I would be glad to have your help. You know this village better than anyone, and I feel like I can trust you." From that moment, a new sense of purpose grew between them. They spent the day talking quietly under the mango tree, planning how they might search for the heirloom. Obi explained the clues he had gathered from old stories, describing landmarks and hints that pointed to possible locations. Misoma listened carefully, asking questions and suggesting paths they could explore. "See that large rock by the river?" Obi said, pointing. "Some say the box might have been hidden near there, but I am not sure. I need someone to help me search carefully." Misoma nodded. "We can look together. I know many spots around the river and the forest edge that you might not know about." She felt a sense of pride, knowing her knowledge of the village could help him. They set a plan. Each morning they would meet and search a small area, paying attention to every detail, the way the trees leaned, the marks on rocks, and any unusual signs left behind. Obi taught Misoma how to read small clues, how to notice footprints or marks that might indicate a hiding place. She was quick to learn and enjoyed the challenge, feeling excitement each time they discovered something new. The villagers began noticing the pair wandering together. They whispered and smiled, curious about what Misoma and Obi were doing. But neither Misoma nor Obi revealed much. They preferred to work quietly, trusting each other and enjoying the shared adventure. Over the days as they explored forests, riverbanks, and hidden corners of the village, their bond grew stronger. Misoma learned more about Obi's patience, courage, and determination. He never rushed, never got angry when they found nothing and always encouraged her with kind words. Obi, in turn, noticed Misoma's cleverness and keen eyes. She could spot small details that he missed, like a scratch on a tree or a pattern in the grass. He admired her intelligence and determination. Each day he trusted her more and she trusted him, feeling safe even in the quiet hidden places they explored. One afternoon as the sun dipped low, they stopped under a large baobab tree to rest. Obi pulled out a small snack from his bag. "I'm glad you agreed to help me," he said, handing her a piece of bread. "I couldn't do this alone. I'm lucky to have someone smart and brave like you." Misoma smiled, feeling warmth spread in her chest. "We make a good team," she said. "I like helping and I like exploring with you." Her voice was soft, but she felt a flutter in her heart. They laughed together when a goat wandered near, nibbling at the edge of Misoma's basket. Obi shooed it gently, and Misoma teased him for being too polite even to animals. The easy laughter, combined with the shared purpose of finding the heirloom, made their friendship feel stronger than ever. Some days they encountered small challenges, paths blocked by fallen trees, muddy banks that made their feet slippery, or confusing signs in the forest. But they learned to solve each problem together. Obi taught Misoma to move carefully and observe closely, and Misoma reminded him to stay patient and persistent. Every challenge overcame together made them feel closer. One evening as they sat near the river watching the sun reflect off the water, Obi spoke softly. "Misoma, I didn't expect to find someone like you while searching for the heirloom. You're clever, kind and brave. I feel happier when I'm with you." Misoma felt her cheeks warm. "I feel the same way," she admitted. "I enjoy helping you and I enjoy spending time with you. It's exciting to be part of something important." They smiled at each other, a quiet understanding passing between them. The adventure of searching for the heirloom was more than just a task. It was a way to build trust, share stories and strengthen the bond forming between them. As days turned into a week, their search brought them closer to discovering the heirloom's hiding place. They found small clues, an unusual mark on a tree trunk, a stone arranged differently from others, and hints from old villagers who remembered tales of the lost box. Each discovery was celebrated with laughter, sharing food and gentle teasing. Obi began to rely on Misoma's instincts and observations more than ever. She had an uncanny ability to notice small things he might overlook. Misoma realized that she trusted Obi completely, not just because he was kind, but because he was honest, patient and respectful. One morning, Obi suggested they explore a section of the forest near the old mill, a place few villagers visited. Misoma agreed and they set off together. The morning air was crisp, filled with the sounds of birds and rustling leaves. Every step felt like part of the adventure, and both of them were alert for any sign of the hidden heirloom. As they walked, Misoma noticed a small clearing surrounded by tall grass and flowering shrubs. "Obi, look here," she whispered. "This spot feels different, like someone might have left something here long ago." Obi nodded, examining the ground carefully. He saw subtle marks, small scratches on a rock and footprints that seemed older than the rest. "You're right," he said. "This could be it. Let's search thoroughly." They worked together quietly, moving stones and scanning the earth for anything unusual. The sun climbed higher, casting dappled light through the trees, but neither of them felt tired. They were too focused, too excited about the possibility of discovery, and the trust and friendship between them made the task enjoyable. By mid-afternoon, they had explored every corner of the clearing. Though they hadn't yet found the heirloom, their teamwork had grown stronger. They sat on a fallen log, catching their breath and sharing a small snack. Obi looked at Misoma with appreciation. "I couldn't ask for a better partner," he said. Misoma smiled back. "And I couldn't ask for a better friend," she replied. She felt proud, knowing that they had learned to trust and rely on each other. The search for the heirloom had become more than a task. It was an adventure that brought them closer with each passing day. As the day ended, they walked back toward the village together, talking and laughing about the small mishaps during the search. The slippery mud, the goat that had followed them, and the curious birds that seemed to watch their every move. Every shared moment strengthened their connection and made the adventure memorable. When they reached the village, Obi thanked Misoma again. "Tomorrow we continue," he said. "I have a feeling we're close." Misoma nodded, her heart feeling light and excited. "Yes, we will find it together," she said. She realized that this shared mission had brought them closer than she could have imagined. Their trust, teamwork and friendship had grown naturally, and each day made her feel more connected to him. As night fell and the village quieted, Misoma thought about the adventure, about Obi and about the journey ahead. She smiled, knowing that the mission for the heirloom was not just about finding an object. It was about discovering trust, friendship, and perhaps something even more special between them. The morning air was cool as MMESOMA stepped out of her small home, her heart filled with determination. Today she was meeting Obi by the edge of the forest. They had been searching for the lost heirloom for several days, and every step had brought them closer, not just to the treasure but to each other. MMESOMA felt a sense of excitement tinged with nervousness. Today the challenge seemed greater than before. Obi was already waiting near the tall palm trees, scanning the forest edge with a thoughtful expression. When he saw MMESOMA, his face brightened. "Good morning," he said. "Are you ready for another day of searching?" MMESOMA smiled, feeling a surge of confidence. "Yes. I think we're closer than ever," she replied. She noticed the way Obi's eyes sparkled with hope and determination, and she felt her own courage grow. They began walking along a narrow path that wound through the dense forest. The air smelled of damp earth and fresh leaves, and birds chirped overhead as if encouraging them forward. Every now and then Obi would point out marks on the trees or patterns in the grass, clues that might lead them to the heirloom. Hours passed as they carefully examined the area. MMESOMA's keen eyes spotted subtle signs: a small indentation in the ground, a stone placed oddly, and a branch that had been bent in a peculiar way. "Look here," she whispered, pointing to a faint trail. "This could be a sign someone was here before us." Obi nodded, impressed. "You have an amazing eye for details, MMESOMA," he said. "I don't think I would have noticed that." They followed the faint trail deeper into the forest, aware that the search was becoming trickier. The paths twisted and turned, and some areas were overgrown with thorny bushes. At one point, Obi slipped on a muddy slope, and MMESOMA quickly reached out to steady him. They laughed at the small mishap, but it reminded them to be careful. As they continued, a challenge arose. A group of villagers from a nearby area had heard about the heirloom and were also searching. They appeared ahead on the path, moving quickly and looking around suspiciously. MMESOMA and Obi crouched behind a large rock, observing the rival searchers. "We need to be careful," Obi whispered. "We don't want them to take the clues before we find the heirloom." MMESOMA thought for a moment, then suggested, "Let's take the side path near the river. It's slower but less obvious. We can still follow the trail and stay ahead." Obi agreed, and together they moved quietly, using their knowledge of the forest to stay hidden. The river path was tricky. Muddy banks, slippery stones and thick roots made each step a challenge, but MMESOMA's cleverness and Obi's steady guidance kept them safe. During a brief rest by a large rock, MMESOMA noticed a small, carved mark on the stone that looked like part of a symbol she had seen in an old story about Obi's family. "Obi, look here," she said, pointing to the mark. "This could be another clue." Obi leaned closer, examining it carefully. "You're right," he said with admiration. "I didn't notice that. It matches the stories I heard from my grandmother." "You're incredible, MMESOMA." Encouraged, they continued along the riverbank, following the clues with renewed energy. They moved carefully, avoiding loose stones and roots that might cause them to slip. The forest seemed alive around them, and every rustle of leaves made them alert. Later they encountered another obstacle. A small ravine blocked their path, and the only way across was a fallen tree acting as a narrow bridge. MMESOMA felt a flutter of nervousness. "Are you sure we can cross?" she asked, gripping the edge of the tree. Obi smiled reassuringly. "We can do it. Step slowly and I'll hold your hand." Together they carefully crossed the makeshift bridge, balancing on the narrow trunk. MMESOMA felt her heart race, but Obi's steady presence gave her courage. Once on the other side, they laughed in relief, celebrating another small victory in their adventure. As they moved deeper into the forest, they found another challenge: an area thick with thorny bushes and tangled vines. MMESOMA studied the plants carefully. "We can weave through here if we follow the small animal paths," she suggested. Using her observation skills, they found a narrow route and slowly made their way through, avoiding scratches and keeping the clues intact. Hours passed, and the sun began to dip toward the horizon. MMESOMA and Obi stopped to rest near a large baobab tree. Their clothes were dusty, their feet sore, but their spirits were high. They had overcome hidden clues, tricky paths, and rival searchers, and each obstacle had made them stronger as a team. Obi looked at MMESOMA with gratitude. "I couldn't have done this without you," he said. "Your cleverness and courage make all the difference." MMESOMA smiled, feeling proud. "And your bravery and patience help me feel safe. We make a good team." They spent a few minutes talking quietly, sharing stories of their families and dreams, their laughter mixing with the soft rustle of leaves. The challenges of the day had brought them closer, and the trust between them had grown deeper. As evening fell, they decided to return to the village and rest, knowing the final part of the search might come the next day. The journey had been difficult, but every challenge had strengthened their friendship and trust. They walked side by side, careful not to disturb the forest around them, each step a reminder of their shared adventure. Before they parted, Obi said softly, "Tomorrow we might find it. But no matter what, I'm glad I'm doing this with you." MMESOMA felt her heart warm at his words. "Me too," she said. "We've come so far together and I trust we can finish the journey." As they returned to the village, the stars began to appear in the night sky. The forest was quiet now, but the memory of the day's challenges remained vivid in their minds. They had faced obstacles, worked together, and stayed united. And in doing so, they had learned something more valuable than any heirloom: trust, courage, and the strength of their friendship. That night, MMESOMA lay in bed thinking about the day. She remembered Obi's smile, his steady presence, and the way they had overcome every challenge together. She felt a quiet excitement for the next day, wondering if they would finally discover the lost heirloom and what other surprises the adventure might bring. For Obi, the night was also filled with thoughts of MMESOMA. Her cleverness, bravery, and kindness had made the challenges easier and the adventure joyful. He knew that the obstacles had strengthened their bond, creating a friendship built on trust and teamwork. The forest, with its hidden clues and tricky paths, had tested them, but it had also taught them how to work together. And as the village slept, both MMESOMA and Obi knew that tomorrow might bring the moment they had been searching for, the discovery that could change their lives and deepen the bond they had formed during their journey. The morning sun shone brightly over the village, casting golden light on the market stalls and the dusty paths. MMESOMA and Obi met as usual near the edge of the forest. Today felt different. There was a quiet sense of anticipation in the air. They both knew that after days of searching, today could be the day they finally found the lost family heirloom. Obi smiled at MMESOMA, holding a small map in his hand. "I feel like we're close," he said. "The clues are pointing us to a special spot and I think we might discover it today." MMESOMA nodded, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Let's go then," she said. Her heart raced, not just from the thrill of the search, but from the joy of being on this adventure with Obi. Their friendship had grown strong over the past days, and now it felt as though something even deeper was beginning to develop. They walked carefully through the forest, following the faint trail marked by small, unusual signs that only someone with a keen eye could notice. MMESOMA's cleverness guided them around tricky paths, while Obi's courage and steady hands helped them navigate the rougher areas. They moved in perfect teamwork, each step bringing them closer to the hidden treasure. Hours passed as they searched through the forest, lifting stones, examining tree trunks, and scanning the undergrowth for anything unusual. Every small discovery filled them with hope, and their laughter echoed softly among the trees whenever one of them spotted a clue. Finally, as the sun began to tilt lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the forest floor, MMESOMA noticed something different. A small stone arranged oddly near the roots of a large old baobab tree caught her attention. She crouched and examined it closely. "Obi," she whispered excitedly, "I think this is it. Look at this mark, it matches the symbol in your family story." Obi came closer and studied the stone carefully. His eyes widened with recognition and joy. "You're right, MMESOMA. This is the spot my grandmother described. I can't believe we finally found it." Together they cleared the area around the stone, lifting roots and moving earth carefully. Then, hidden beneath the soil, they found it, the small carved wooden box that had been lost for decades. Obi's hands trembled slightly as he held it, and MMESOMA's eyes shone with excitement. "We did it," MMESOMA said softly, a wide smile on her face. The thrill of discovery made her heart race. They had worked together, overcome obstacles, and now their patience and teamwork had been rewarded. Obi opened the box gently, revealing its contents: old letters, delicate trinkets, and a small necklace passed down through generations. He held it close, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and connection to his family's past. MMESOMA watched him, feeling proud and happy to have been part of this important moment. "Thank you for helping me, MMESOMA," Obi said softly, his voice full of warmth. "I couldn't have done this without you. You were clever, brave, and patient the whole time." MMESOMA felt her cheeks warm. "And I couldn't have done it without you," she replied. "You were brave and kind and you made me feel safe. We make a good team." They laughed quietly, sharing a moment of triumph and relief. The forest around them seemed to celebrate too, the rustling leaves, the birds singing softly, and the gentle breeze that moved through the trees. It was a perfect moment, one they would remember forever. After carefully reburying the box in a safe place until it could be returned to Obi's family, they started walking back to the village together. Their steps were lighter and their hearts were full of joy and pride. MMESOMA and Obi talked about every detail of the search, laughing at their small mistakes and celebrating the clever decisions that had helped them overcome obstacles. When they reached the village, the villagers noticed the excitement in their faces. Obi carefully showed the heirloom to the elders, explaining its history and the adventure they had taken to find it. Everyone was amazed at the cleverness and teamwork displayed by MMESOMA and Obi. They received praise not just for finding the heirloom, but for the patience, courage and friendship they had shown. MMESOMA felt proud not just because they had succeeded but because of how close they had grown during the search. Obi stayed in the village, helping to organize the return of the heirloom to his family. Every day he and MMESOMA spent time together, sharing laughter, stories and the quiet joy of companionship. Over the following weeks, their friendship blossomed into something more. The bond forged through shared adventure and trust grew stronger. They would walk together along the riverbank, talk under the mango trees, and help villagers with small tasks, always side by side. The villagers noticed the connection between them and smiled, sensing the love and trust growing between the two young hearts. One evening, as the sun set and the sky turned golden and pink, Obi turned to MMESOMA and said softly, "This adventure brought us together. I feel like I can trust you with anything, MMESOMA. You're clever, kind and brave. I think I'm glad I met you." MMESOMA smiled, her heart beating faster. "I feel the same," she replied. "I've never met anyone like you, Obi. This adventure was more than finding the heirloom, it helped me discover how wonderful it is to trust and share with someone." They walked hand in hand back to the village, feeling the warmth of the evening and the gentle comfort of being together. The forest adventure had not only led to a precious family heirloom but had also brought two hearts closer than they had ever imagined. Obi stayed in the village for the next season, helping his family and spending time with MMESOMA. They continued exploring small adventures together, sharing laughter, learning from each other, and building a bond filled with trust, respect, and affection. The villagers spoke of the adventure for years, telling the story of how MMESOMA and Obi found the lost heirloom, but more importantly, how the adventure had created a special friendship that blossomed into love. MMESOMA and Obi became examples of courage, patience, and cleverness, inspiring others with their teamwork and loyalty. One morning, as they walked along the familiar forest path, MMESOMA looked at Obi and said, "I'm glad we found the heirloom, but I'm even happier we found each other." Obi smiled, taking her hand gently. "Me too," he said. "This adventure gave me more than I could have hoped for. You made it unforgettable, MMESOMA." The days turned into weeks and the weeks into months. Their friendship deepened and love began to grow naturally. The village watched as MMESOMA and Obi supported each other, cared for each other, and shared dreams of the future. The heirloom remained safe, a reminder of their adventure, patience, and clever teamwork. Through the search, MMESOMA had learned to trust herself and her instincts, and Obi had learned to value patience, kindness, and partnership. Together, they discovered that true treasure was not only in the heirloom they sought but in the trust, respect, and love that had grown between them. By the time the sun set on that final day of their adventure, MMESOMA and Obi sat under the old mango tree, looking at the village bathed in soft golden light. They held hands, feeling the warmth and comfort of their connection. The forest had tested them, challenged them, and rewarded them in more ways than they had expected. MMESOMA thought about the first day she met Obi in the market, the brief conversation, the spark of curiosity. She realized that meeting him had been the start of a journey far greater than finding a lost heirloom. It had led to friendship, trust, and the beginning of love. Obi looked at her with a soft smile. "Our adventure didn't just find the heirloom. It brought us together. And I wouldn't change a single moment." MMESOMA smiled back, her heart full. "Neither would I. This is only the beginning of many adventures together." And so, the lost heirloom was returned safely, the villagers celebrated the clever teamwork of MMESOMA and Obi, and two young hearts grew closer every day. The adventure that started as a search for an old box had become a journey of love, trust, and new beginnings. From that day on, MMESOMA and Obi shared their lives, their stories, and their hearts, knowing that together they could face any challenge that came their way. Their friendship had grown into love, their trust had turned into partnership, and their adventure had become the foundation of a life filled with joy, respect, and shared dreams. The forest had tested them, the heirloom had connected them, and their hearts had found each other. MMESOMA and Obi's story became a favorite among the villagers, a tale of cleverness, bravery, patience, and the unexpected rewards of trust and friendship. It reminded everyone that sometimes, the greatest treasures are not objects, but the bonds we build along the way. As the stars twinkled above the quiet village, Misoma and Obi sat together, hands intertwined, hearts full, and minds dreaming of the many adventures yet to come. The search for the heirloom had ended, but a beautiful new chapter of their lives had begun, one of love, trust, and endless possibilities.